We are at City of the Rock State Park in New Mexico, and today we are celebrating 7 years on the road.
You know what?
What?
We have been on the road 7 years this month.
Wow. 7 years. But yes, it's been 7 years now since we started off on the road full time, starting our music ministry back in, what was it?
February of 2012.
2012.
As we've been traveling around, we've met a lot of people who have said that we're living their dream and that they want to do what we're doing. Now, a lot of the benefits to this kind of lifestyle are obvious. You get to explore the country. Our kids have been to 48 of the 50 states. You get to meet a lot of wonderful people. You get to experience a lot of different cultures and mindsets and food.
But there are some things that you really have to consider. And in honor of our 7 years on the road, we wanted to highlight 7 harsh realities of living on the road full-time. At least realities that we have come to realize.
Let me reiterate, we are fully aware of the blessings of this lifestyle.
Right, so we're not complaining. This is not a griping video. This is just a video that wants to just kind of enlighten those who might be thinking about this, some of the challenges that we have run into as we've been traveling around for 7 years. We have no intention of quitting anytime soon, so it's not like we're we're just like...
We're not like, blah.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, but.
Right.
That's what we're like.
And other people, many people have different levels of tolerance, different levels of what they can handle. And so everyone's going to be different with these things. But we just wanted to share you our 7 harsh realities that we've run into. And I put quotes in the title there because on the harsh, because, like I said, it's not really harsh. They're just realities that you need to think of, especially if you've never done RVing before. I think we get a lot of people who've never done RVing that they would love to do our lifestyle, and I just want to make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into. So these are not in any particular order. We're just kind of listing off 7 things here. And number 1 is tight living quarters. Any RV, whether it's a 45-foot diesel pusher or a 30-foot travel trailer, you have basically smaller versions of things you have in your house.
Refrigerators are tiny. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny.
You got smaller kitchens, smaller bathrooms.
The bathroom is tiny. The hall on the way to, and I'm not complaining, it's rather entertaining. The hall on the way to the bathroom, it's sort of like a well choreographed dance to get one person into the bathroom, another person out, etc.
Yes, our refrigerator and our bathroom door are in very unfortunate configurations where if you open one, you can't open the other. So, and there's a lot of shuffling, a lot of little dances that people do going by each other. So the bottom line is everything in an RV is on a smaller scale, and you have to learn to adapt to that smaller scale. And it's doable. There's many people who live in RVs full time, and they deal with these things. But that's just the reality of living in an RV full time. Now, of course, we're more of an extreme version of that because we have a big family, but we make it work.
Number 2.
So number 2 is kind of goes along with number 1. But it's a biggie, and that is limited storage. The majority of RVs have very limited storage space, whether it's a fifth wheel or a travel trailer or a diesel pusher.
Yes, so that means kids' toys, entertainment, books, homeschoolers. That's a big challenge. I know when we left the first time, I had 10 huge stacks of books I wanted to take. I had to pare it down to 1 and we've pared that down
If
a lot since.
If she could tow a library behind us, she would do that.
That's a good idea.
We'll work on that.
But even things like food, refrigerator food, cabinet,
pantry space, or as you would say,
cupboard.
Cupboard.
Okay,
Who calls it a cupboard?
Just comment below if you use the word cupboard.
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 It's where you put cups. Anyway, she's from the 1850s.
We keep cups up here in our cupboard. Okay, so limited food storage.
Yes, and on the other side of that, when you live in an RV full time, you have to have tools to make repairs and things like that as you go down the road. And so there's also limited storage space for tools. That's one of my biggest challenges, is making sure I have the right tools that I need to change things like bearings and to fix every little thing that goes wrong in an RV. And we'll get to more of that in a little bit here, but it's a challenge to be able to have the space to carry everything. You know, depending on what kind of RV you have, you know, you're going to have maybe more of a challenge or less of a challenge than we might have. So I've seen people live full-time in a teardrop trailer. I have no idea how they do it. People come up to us all the time and say, how do you live in that thing, that small 33 square foot trailer? And I think the same thing of somebody who lives in a teardrop trailer full-time. And I know people who have done that.
Ours is 33 feet lengthwise. Theirs is probably 33 square feet.
30, yeah.
That's a big difference.
All right, number three. Difficult logistics. And then this covers a broad spectrum of things, but you know, when you're on the road full time, and this may be different for some people who come south and they stay in an RV park for months at a time. You may not find these logistical challenges to be the same.
A lot of people have their favorite place they go, and that's it.
But for us, we are on the move all the time. We do over 100 events a year, and we are traveling from one place, one venue to the next, one church to the next on a full-time basis. And so, you know, we have a lot of challenges when it comes to getting our mail and receiving packages like from Amazon, finding dump stations to dump our tanks. That's always a challenge. You know, finding grocery stores when we're out in the middle of nowhere, or
getting our daughter's medication.
Getting medication. You know, finding a good internet connection sometimes is a challenge. There's always some challenges with logistics, and you just have to make sure you consider that you know, it may not be real easy just to run down to the store, to Walmart or whatever, and pick up a gallon of milk. You know, you've got to really plan these things out and be ahead of your schedule and know exactly where things are that you're going to need. I always, every time we go down the road, we're heading down the road, I always look and see where all the dump stations are. We look for the Walmarts. As far as mail is concerned, we have a mail service that forwards our mail to us, but we have to kind of know where we're going to be when we have that mail forwarded.
As the meal planner in the family, you have to always know where you're going to be, how far ahead you need to have food purchased for, where you're going to be able to buy food, whether you're going to be driving, whether you're going to be dry camping, and plan your foods accordingly. Our lives have gotten a little easier since we've started using Thrive Life. If I totally botch everything, as long as we have water and our Thrive storage, we're fine.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of Thrive food that we store, and we use it on a regular basis, but it's always nice to know that we have meat and veggies and fruits that they won't spoil, and we can have a full meal just on that alone. And by the way, there is a link, if you're interested in Thrive Life Foods, there is a link down below in the description. So that was a shameless plug on our
Well, it's because we like it so much.
We do like it. We do like it. We like it so much we became distributors, and we are you know, hoping to help and have it supplement our income.
Okay, this is completely unrelated, but I love being able to grab a handful of veggies and throw them into everything, and the kids are getting so many more veggies without any extra work on my part.
All right, number 4.
Number 4.
Medical issues. Yes, and this is a difficult subject for people, even when they live in a house. So.
He's going to talk. I'm just going to sit here and cry. Okay, a lot of people actually look. I'm talking.
Well, we'll keep it general. I mean, in general, if you're used to having a doctor, your own doctor or family doctor, who knows you or and your whole family, you don't have that when you're on the road. You're basically going from place to place. If somebody gets sick, you're typically having to go into an urgent care or an emergency room or something like that.
Or sometimes, we meet a lot of people on the road and they'll say, oh, I have this wonderful pediatrician. But the majority of the time, they can't just fit a random person in. Right. So you are really doing a lot of urgent care. Now, we are not the type that go in for every sniffly nose and that sort of thing. So it's not that big a deal. However, we have had some instances and 2 pregnancies that have required medical care, and we do have a daughter with Crohn's disease.
But of course, the other issue that goes on with medical issues, finding doctors, things like that, is either your health insurance. And we do have health insurance. We belong to a co-op, but sometimes we're in areas where it's the only providers are out of our network, so we end up having to pay more and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they do work with us pretty well. Our member sharing program, and the link is down below for that also. But it just adds a little, you having to check your insurance, whereas if you're at home, you already know who
takes it and who doesn't. Yeah.
And finally, if you get a lot of prescriptions, our one daughter needs 2 prescriptions, and one is easy to get, but the other has to be special ordered. So you have to plan ahead. You have to know when you're going to need it, no last minute runouts and that sort of thing.
Okay, number 5. Mechanical breakdowns. You have to be willing, regardless of what kind of RV you have, whether it's a brand new diesel pusher or travel trailer, or you've got an old schoolie or whatever. You do have to be somewhat mechanically inclined, because if because you're going to have breakdowns. There's no doubt about it. You've got a 30-foot home rolling down the highway. I think one RV dealer said it's like driving in a tornado through a hurricane. It's like taking your house, driving through a tornado in a hurricane or something like that. I can't remember. It was kind of like, you're bound to have things go wrong because it's just vibrating and shaking everywhere. Everything's flexing and falling apart. And in our case, I've had to change bearings out quite a bit. I've had to change the springs out. And if you spend all of your time going to a mechanic to get those things fixed, you're never going to get anywhere. It's just,
and it's going to get expensive.
It'll get expensive.
Plus your downtime you'll have to spend in a hotel or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, and then all the little repairs inside, at the very, very, very least, you have to be able to handle all the little repairs.
Breakdowns are going to happen. There's no way around it, especially if you travel around the country full time and you're on the go like we are all the time. Maybe not as much for if you plan on just parking your RV at one spot and you're going to stay there for months at a time. You're not going to have the same kind of wear and tear put on your RV than we do. We travel all the time. We're moving like every other day. We're heading down the road, and we've probably put, I would say, over 150 to 200,000 miles on this trailer alone, and we've had it for about 5 years. And that's a lot of miles on a travel trailer. So things are bound to go wrong. So you have to be willing to kind of think creatively, to learn to do things on your own. YouTube is a great resource for finding out how to fix things, or how to even just figure out what's wrong. For me, unless it's something that I can't figure out, I'm going to try and figure it out.
There's
and I tell you what,
you can't figure
there's
out.
Not yet, but but I tell you, duct tape goes a long way to fix things. Get yourself a roll of duct tape, or
and
several
some Gorilla
rolls.
Glue.
Yes, Gorilla
You're
Glue and
set.
duct tape. All right, so number 6. Number 6 would be weather. Boy, oh boy. We could go on and on and on about this subject.
Should we just link to our weather videos? Because that says it all.
We were just talking earlier that we're going to do a video of all the times we've had to change course, and change our plans or bug out because of some severe weather event that was either going to happen or that did happen.
And you think, oh sure, well you guys are, you're in Wisconsin sometimes, Minnesota. No, we're talking about running away from blizzards in Arizona, Missouri,
tornadoes in Oregon
twice.
Well, not the tornado.
Oh no. Tornadoes once hurt.
Torrential downpours.
Typhoon twice.
Yeah. Remnants of a
remnants,
typhoon.
just the remnants.
But yeah, we've had our share of run-ins with the weather, and this year especially, since we left Wisconsin in January, some of you may have seen our video about the snowstorm we ran into in St. Louis, and I'll link to it right here. But it is one of those things that you can't predict, and you got to be able to kind of go to plan B and maybe have plan B in mind. One of the things I do on a very regular basis, and sometimes I think people laugh at me because I'm always looking at my weather app, and I've got several weather apps that I look at.
Geek radar.
But hey, I know, kind of have an idea what's going to go on. And you have to be able to predict, or kind of, at least project when bad weather is going to come in, so you know whether you want to stay through it or whether you're going to be driving in it, that kind of stuff. And along with driving in it, there's camping in bad weather.
Yes, we've had all sorts of crazy issues, including the condensation, things freezing to the wall and that sort of stuff, but also the slide icing over, and the weight of ice on the roof, and can we move out of here, or are we frozen to the ground? I mean, you have to consider all that stuff.
Right. Also, having to make sure we have enough propane. If we have space heaters, and if we're plugged into electrical source, we can use those. But if we're not, we have to make sure we have enough propane to heat to heat the place up. And so it's constantly checking the propane tanks to make sure that we have enough, to see where we're going to be in the days to come, and whether there's going to be propane available down the road. These are all things that you have to consider, so you don't freeze your little tushki off.
Number 7, you must be adaptable.
Yes. And this kind of is an overriding thing that kind of covers all of them. But
yes, this is, I would say, if you have one characteristic that makes you suitable to the RV life, it is adaptability.
You have to be willing to be flexible and
go with the flow.
Yeah.
Every day brings a new adventure. Every day brings a new schedule, if you can call it that. I kind of describe our family as, rather than like a tree or a metal post, we're more like a spine. So we have our not that
I'm being a spine.
You're being spineless.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there, yeah. So you can flex, but you have structure.
I made myself dizzy there.
Just ignore him. I'll take over from here. You have to be sort of like a spine where you have structure, but you're flexible. So we have our routines and that sort of thing, but when we can't stick to our routine, that's fine. That's totally fine. We just go with it. And that goes for meals, for when we're going to, when we're getting all the kids to bed, where we're going to be. Okay, we thought we were going to go to ABC, but it ends up we're going to be at XYZ. Well, it's just another adventure.
Especially when you have kids. We know a lot of people that have their kids' lives scheduled to the T.
That's fine.
When it comes to nap time, bedtime, mealtime, and all that. And yeah, we're not knocking that if that works for you. But I really don't think you can do that when you're RVing full time. I think that you have to be a little bit more flexible. We try to have
structure.
Some structure, and they do have bedtimes when we can adhere to them. But there are times when we have a late night concert, or we're driving a long way, we're trying to get to the next destination.
Or a breakdown, or a can't miss event, or a social function, or any of those things.
Or we're at a national park and we're just having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to say, well, okay, it's your nap time, you better stop hiking and go to bed. And that's part of the adventure of being a full-time RVer, is that you're out, you're experiencing things that maybe, hopefully, you haven't experienced before. That's the reason why you're out here. So that is the 7 harsh realities of living on the road full time that we have found. Your experiences may be different, but bottom line is, there are definitely things you need to think about and consider before you venture on to this lifestyle.
To this dream life.
Yes, it is a dream. It is it's an exciting thing. We get a lot of people that say they'd love to do what we're doing, and I agree. I think it's something that if you can do it, at least for a year or two or whatever, then it's worth a shot. Yeah, we have some challenges still.
There are frustrations.
We're still struggling with some things like trying to get organized, trying to fit things in our trailer and discover what we need and don't need. It's an ongoing thing. But overall, I think that in the past 7 years, we've done pretty well. I mean, we're not dead.